Eunice Huthart is a stunt coordinator and second unit director with credits including Maleficent, Eternals, True Detective, Justice League, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, Fantastic Beasts and many, many more. Coming from humble beginnings, growing up on a council estate, fighting the local kids alongside her brothers and climbing up high out of reach where the other kids wouldn't dare to go. She came into the public eye in 1994 as the female winner of the International Gladiators TV competition show. She's been a stunt woman in an endless list of movies, including as Angelina Jolie's lead stunt double in films such as Tomb Raider, Salt, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Wanted and The Tourist. Her passion for her family is evident in the way she speaks so highly of her husband and her daughter, and she's an absolute football fanatic. Please welcome the incredible Eunice Huthart.
The greatest showwoman.
When I was a kid, the things I remember most about being a kid was being cold and being hungry.
Yeah.
All the time. That's all I ever. They're my biggest two memories. I used to dream about food. People would dream about stuff and they go, "Oh, we going to school and I'd be dreaming about Mars bars and things like that," because I was always hungry.
Yeah.
But we always got fed. But I think I was just always wanting to eat. I don't know. It was like we were very basic. Like we had like basic food all the time. We weren't. It's not like my house where I've got steaks in the fridge and fresh chickens. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so it's a worst night. For me, being hungry and cold is my not a chance.
Always running away from
I know.
that.
When we worked in Iceland and we would, the girls, like when I had people coming out, they would do ice baths and the girls were brilliant at it.
Yeah.
They'd stay in it for ages.
That's so impressive, isn't it? Like,
I'd put my foot in and then be like, nah, well done, I'm off.
I'm good. Good to go? Amazing. All right. Well, firstly, thank you so much for coming and spending a couple hours with me.
Pleasure.
I'm super stoked that you're here. So first I'd like to know, what were you like as a child? Like, what were your interests?
Okay, so I literally was probably the epitome of being a tomboy. Mm-hmm. I didn't even want... because I wanted to be accepted to be able to play football. It's not like if I was born today, I think I would have been less of a tomboy because girls can play football and girls can do sports and girls can go rock climbing and climb trees. And like I was just hung out with boys. I thought girls were dead boring, if I'm honest.
Right.
And all I wanted to do was run around, play, fight, play football, like just typical tomboy, really. And but it went to the extreme for me because I used to play for like kids' teams, but only because they thought I was a boy. Right. And then because some of them had where they'd get out that I was a girl or someone had found out, then they took me out the team. So I used to go around trying to just never be accepted as a girl, more accepted as a boy.
Right.
But the literal only reason for it was to play football. That's it. There was no other reason.
That's amazing.
I know. So I was literally your epitome. And at Christmas, because my mum, I was the only girl. I'm like the middle child and the only girl out of three of us. And my mum always wanted a little prim and proper girl, which I never was. So right. So I used to have to bribe my brothers to ask for the football and things like this so that I could get a football to play with and things like that all the time.
That's wild.
So yeah, that's typical me as a kid.
Yeah. Things have changed a lot because today, a little girl could play football in her tutu if she wanted. It's more.
Yeah, and boys can play football in a tutu, which I think is great. So
it's amazing.
It's a much better world on that front. Yeah. And I probably wouldn't have had to masquerade as a boy. I wouldn't let people call me Eunice. They used to have to call me Tony.
Really?
Yeah. Because basically,
awesome.
If ever I got found out, Tony was also a girl's name, so it was like a little alibi I had.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even answer to Eunice. I'd only answer to Tony.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love that so much. So did you have any like idols that you looked up to in sports when you were growing up?
For me, it was always football. It's always been football, even now. Mm-hmm. I work with great actors and none of them are on a pedestal, but if I met Kenny Dalglish, I probably wouldn't be able to talk. So, it was always football and it still is. It's like, I got this award when I think I was about 9 or 10, and I got this award and it was Kenny Dalglish awarding it to me. And I couldn't speak, and he was looking at me going, "Are you not going to say something?" And I could not speak as a kid. I just couldn't speak to him. So yeah, I think it's footballers all the way. And I idolise, like people I've never even met. I remember being a kid when Brazil would be on the telly, And I would just sit absolutely, just watching it, absolutely in awe of the way they played and all that. So, yeah, so ultimately it's football and it's only football. That's it.
That's amazing. Was there a point where you started getting interested in other, like, I don't know, the gym or running or motocross?
No, for me it was always physical. So I'd always, like, I hanged around with a gang of lads. We were on a council estate, and at the time, unbeknown to me, it was the biggest surface area in Europe that had the most kids on. And it was a giant council estate that was built in Liverpool, around Belvale area. And we moved there when I was about 5. And I probably spent the best years of my life there, if I'm honest. So there was a gang of kids and there was squares. All the houses looked in at each other and you had squares. And there was about 12 of them all down this estate. Mm-hmm. And we'd fight. You'd either be playing football with the other squares against them, or you'd be fighting with the other squares all the time.
Right.
And in them days, it was just fighting. It wasn't like it is now, throwing rocks at each other or stabbing and all of that. It wasn't like that then. And so sometimes you'd run
like
the
wrestling the kids. And
well, it was proper fisticuffs. Like it was proper
fisticuffs.
Yeah. Oh no,
awesome.
It was proper fist fight. I think people say to me, "God, have you ever had a fight?" And I'd be like, "Are you messing?" I probably had 100 fights a year from age 5 up until I was about 15. I probably had 100 fights a year.
Were there other girls fighting?
No, it was never girls. It was always
just
boys.
It was boys.
Yeah, it was always boys.
Do you think that like led to you being so tough? And then
I think so.
Moved into
my elder brother had learning difficulties. So you're in a council estate with hundreds of kids. So if anyone used to give our Carl stick, I used to run over and have a fight with them, basically. Yeah. I'd be like, "Don't be like that to my brother," and I'd have a fight with them. So, but I think it was always in me. I don't think I'm a product of my environment. I think I just complemented my environment.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, we used to climb trees. We used to do dropping. I don't know if you ever did it. You used to like challenge each other to drop off the highest points, and I always won it. I was always the highest dropper. I'd go up the highest tree. I'd climb the highest tree faster. I'd be the fastest on our bikes, fastest running. I probably had the most fights. If anyone picked on one of our gang, it'd always be me that would be forefront fighting anyone else. And yeah, it was just the way I was.
I love that. I feel like we need to write a film about your childhood. Like, I just have this awesome visual. Like, I'd watch that. It sounds awesome.
And it was typical kids. We'd be climbing drain pipes, running from the police. It was mischief. It was never illegal.
Yeah.
Like, my parents were very honest. Like, it was always, we were dead honest. You know, if someone dropped some money and we see it, we'd run over and give them the money back. We were never them type of kids, but we didn't have to get up to a lot of mischief all the time.
Yeah. Could you get up on the roof at the estate,
always.
like climbing up the...
Oh, yeah, always.
There
was so many things. I remember once we were getting chased. I can't remember what we'd done. And we were getting chased, and there was this block of flats that had this walkway. And it was about, say, 80 feet high, the walkway. Mm-hmm. But if you climbed on the outside of the walkway, there was a little brick width that you could stand on.
Right.
But no one would look over the other side for you because there was nothing there. If you was on the other side, you was on the floor 80 feet down.
Wow.
So that's where my hiding place was whenever I was getting chased.
Really?
I'd always go up there.
No one would dare
come up there. And it was like I'd be balancing on one brick width with about a 60 or 80 feet drop below me.
Wow.
I know. I'm so glad my kid didn't take after me, I'll be honest.
That's amazing. Do you think that's helped you then when you got into stunts? Because
yeah,
it sounds
definitely.
like you're pretty fearless with height and...
Yeah, definitely. It's funny. My body had an instinct, and it's in stunts as well. There was always an instinct that if it was going wrong, I would manage to manipulate my body somehow where it wouldn't be as bad as it could be, type of thing. Yeah. Like, of course, I've had injuries that you can't avoid, but even as a kid, I always managed to just get out of the really bad trouble somehow. Yeah. I remember once when it was snowing and a taxi driver, we used to hang on the back of the taxis when it was snowing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we just skate along the road. And then this taxi driver, he stopped really, really fast. I think I must have only been about 8. He stopped really quick and I slid under his wheels.
Whoa.
And he jumped out the car. And he was like, "I know you're under there," because they used to go mad when we do it. So I was having to watch his feet at age 8 and try and work out how to get out of this one before I got, because in them days, a stranger would grab you and give you a slap across the head. It's not like now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember rolling there or rolling near, and I remember kicking a bit of snow out and running out the other side and getting away from him. And I'm always like, I look back on them days thinking, maybe there's an instinct about myself where I'm always know how to get out of trouble. I don't know. And
Yeah.
I credit that to the stunt game as well.
Yeah,
When there's a gag going wrong, I'm like, yeah, this is going very wrong. I've got to try and do something to get out of this. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's amazing. I swear, I'm just like writing the script to your story as we're going. Like, this sounds amazing. That's awesome. And so, have you done any other like extreme activities like snowboarding, surfing,
Not really.
skydiving? Or...
I do love it. I do love it. But it's sort of, as a kid, we had no money as a kid. You know, we're on a council estate. There's 3 kids in our family. My mum and dad are working like mad. And, you know, it was what it was. When it'd snow, we'd have socks on our hands because you couldn't get a pair of gloves. My mum and dad would never go and buy gloves or anything like that. So... did
you do the garbage bag, you know, sliding down the hill in the
yeah,
garbage
we
bag?
did all that.
We did that as kids.
We used to go to we used to nick trays from like some kind of restaurant. We used to go and nick the trays and slide down on them. But I think it's great. The childhood I had was great, to be honest. But so I could never really afford it. And then when I could afford something like them extreme type of sports, which I do love, I've been skiing a few times, and I'm glad I don't live in a ski environment because I'd probably be here all the time.
Yeah.
And now time is so valuable because I'm always working or I want to spend time with family. It's so valuable. I sort of don't have. Also, I'm 57 now. I'm like, I can't be bothered breaking my knee or something like that. I can't be bothered with it. The recovery's too long now.
Yeah, totally. It has a big factor. So in the 90s, you won the 1994 International Championship of the Gladiators show. How cool, or maybe not cool, was it to be a part of that competition?
It was amazing. It was amazing. And I did enter the competition to win it. I wasn't entering it for fun.
Yeah.
Like, I entered it to win it. And the really funny thing is, the year I won it, it was me and Paul Field who won the domestic series before the international. And everyone else, they had like masseuses and jacuzzis there. And me and Paul Field were the only ones who never went to a masseuse. We never went in the jacuzzi. We were dead focused, and we were always focused on just winning, and that was it.
Right.
And I think there's some kind of rawness to that.
Right.
That me and them sort of subconsciously, it wasn't like a conscious decision, oh, I'm not getting a massage, it's a bit too anti-fancy for me or whatever. It wasn't like a conscious decision. It was just like... It was just a rawness about both of us at the time.
Yeah.
And it was really funny that the only 2 that didn't get a massage, I used to say to them, well, we never had a massage, that's why we won all the time.
Yeah, you weren't relaxed. You were like focused.
But it was, it was a brilliant experience. And and when I'm watching on the telly, it's not like I'm watching me. When I was watching the series, when it was released, it wasn't like I was watching me, it was like I was watching someone else. It was really strange.
I bet.
Strange feeling.
Yeah. I was watching some of the first... like the heats, and then I watched the final, but there's all the different apparatus. Like, you started with the one where you're upside down and you're chasing each other, and then you have the obstacle course. Was there an apparatus that was your favourite, or the one with the bar where you're like biffing the other person?
I liked Gauntlet because I just thought it was really great. I could just run at these people.
Is that the one with the 4 people through? Yeah.
You could just run at them and just bulldoze them over if you wanted to. I quite like that. I like Powerball. I liked the pursuit one where you had to do the balance beams. I didn't like Hang Tough because if you had a gymnastic background, you had too big an advantage. So I didn't like Hang Tough. So unbeknown to many
Which one's
people,
Hang Tough?
Where you was on the rings.
Ah,
and you had to go across on the rings.
And the gladiators were like hanging on you.
I'd always draw there was 2 gymnastic gladiators, Jet and Lightning, and you couldn't beat them. They were 2 because it's a very technical event. Right. So I just put baby oil on myself, and when they caught me, they would just slip off anyway. So that's what I did.
Nice. Tricks of the trade. Anyone who's on the new Gladiators show, take note. So I have something to ask you about the gauntlet run, because I watched an episode. So I think it was Ice was the first one. And you get to the end, and then straight away you turn around and go to run back out, and then you stopped yourself. Did she say something, or did she hit you too high?
It was at the beginning of that. What happened was, so she was a good contender, and I think I'd come up against her in another game and beat her, and she wasn't happy. So she was the first one in the gauntlet, and it's off camera, no one sees this, but she walks over to shake my hand and say good luck before the game started. So I was bouncing around, getting all in the zone. So I stopped to shake her hand, and she punched me in the head. Yeah, and no one's seen that. Of course, that was off camera.
Yeah.
And then then she calmly walked back, and I took a second to process this, and I looked at John Anderson, And John Anderson goes, don't you do anything. I went, I'm going to knock her head off. You watch this. And then John Anderson then called it. He goes, 3, 2, 1. So I ran straight at her, but obviously she was waiting for it. She was quite clever because I'd gone red mist by this point.
Yeah.
And she sidestepped me and punched me again with the thing. And the way the camera angle is, you don't really see that hit properly even.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to go and get me points, but I'm going to bounce back up. I'm going to have her off. Right.
Yeah.
So I got down, turned round and run back. And then the way they edited it, you don't really see the full version. But John Anderson was already ready. He was walking down the thing and he grabbed me before I got to her. And then we had a 15-minute, I had to walk off the set. They were going to throw me off and all that.
Right.
And I had to go behind the scenes and calm down. And so then when you see me chatting to John Fashanu after it, that's probably about maybe 20 minutes after it happened.
Interesting.
Where they'd had to calm
and you
me
say,
all
I
down.
apologise.
Yeah, no, I'd gone proper red mist then.
Right.
I was like, anyway, she hid from me because I was looking for the behind the scenes for ages.
Yeah.
And then she come out about 2 hours later going, hey man, you're going to win this show. You're so raw and all that. And I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
American crap like that. But yeah, she did get to me, to be fair. She did get to me. So fair play.
I love it. I thought it was quite funny. But also it makes me think about female aggression. And I interviewed another boxer and I asked her about this because I feel like it's something that's not spoken about a lot. It's kind of more accepted that little boys and men have aggression that needs to be released, but we don't really talk about female aggression. And like, personally, I've experienced it. And I feel like I don't necessarily view aggression as a negative. I just view it as like energy, like the way you attack exercise with aggression. But yeah, what's your take on female aggression? Do you feel like, I don't know, not that you necessarily harbour a lot, but that's why you've chosen, kickboxing and fighting and these sports to like release a certain
fighting.
energy. Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah, no, I like fighting. No, I've always had a lot of aggression. To be fair, I've always had a lot of aggression. And I think it's an asset. I just think it has to be challenged properly. So when I see these kids in the street and you've got like a kid who's running around battering everyone up and then they're like, oh, he's dead naughty. He's not naughty. Or she even. They're not naughty. They've just got this and they just don't understand it and they just got to focus it and channel it. And that's why you've got great sports like boxing and kickboxing and karate and, like UFC now and the wrestling and everything. And I know plenty of women. I've been to plenty of gyms where the women's egos and aggression and sort of inner strength and everything is massive. Yeah. I just think it's a massive subject and a massive. It's another sort of vein of another sort of podcast. But it's like, are we taught so much? Are we manufactured as females to be the nurturer, and a lot of that gets knocked out of us, or what? Like, if I'm honest, if my mum could have knocked it out of me, she probably would have.
Yeah.
She tried. But I think I just knew my own focus too much. Yeah. But if my mum could have, she would have made me the nurturer and the softer female on how females are perceived. Yeah. And that's a great shame because if that happens a lot, we're sort of taking a lot of natural ability from people in women and in men. But I've got a great tattoo that depicts this. I've got the yin and yang. I've got this is me as a nurturer and this is me as a fighter. And I truly believe that.
It's like flipped.
Yeah,
that's amazing, beautiful.
And I do believe that that's your life. And I think everyone's got it in them. It's just how much that emerges or how much a person wants to be. Well, I'd say from the age of 15 to about the age of, say, 42, if I didn't punch a punch bag at least 3 times a week, then I would be an idiot because I wasn't getting rid of all. Yeah. I couldn't get rid of it. And it's got to be channeled for me. It has to be focused and channeled in the right way. Yeah. Otherwise, I would be a bit of an idiot. So, yeah. So
no, I think it's really important.
It's a tough subject, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think because being a mother of daughters, I've got 2 girls as well, and I just think it's really important to encourage girls that it's okay. Like, yeah, if you need to go and hit something, like with my youngest, she's 6. Sometimes I'm like, just go up to your bed and like scream and punch your pillow.
Well, that's
like
the right
let
answer.
it out.
That's the right answer.
Do you know what I mean? Instead of saying squash it down, like,
yeah, no,
just
you can't
be a good
suppress
girl.
it. My daughter probably is as far as the scale I was as being a tomboy. My daughter is complete the opposite. She's the epitome I used to have to bribe her to wear a football kit. I used to have to give her a fiver to wear a football kit. She had more makeup age 5 than I've ever owned in my life to date now. She had more makeup age 5.
That's amazing.
All she wanted to do was ballet and dance and makeup and hair and everything. So, but I always just let her be the person she wanted to be. And she wanted, for Christmas, she wanted a shopping trolley. It broke my heart, but she would have cried. If Santa didn't bring her a shopping trolley that year she wanted one, she would have cried, honestly.
That's amazing. Was your mum really happy to have
so
the little
happy.
granddaughter that was all the...
Yeah. So happy. They sit there, they talk for hours about face, skin, like moisturise, stuff I've never even heard of. It's insane. I know.
I love that. That's amazing. It's amazing also how you've experienced like the same as your mum in reverse. Yeah. I love that. That's actually really hilarious. So after you won the championship, you were also a gladiator on the show for a little while. Were you not, as Blaze?
Yeah,
so
right? They, I think it was just because, I can't remember how many viewing figures. I think it was either 15 million or 18 million viewing figures for the final that I did. And then it was such a big focus because it opened the door into the stunt industry for me, into the film industry. And they did the first, but they were doing the first Bond film for quite a while with a new Bond, Pierce. So that, the notoriety that came from that was massive, and I was in the press all the time. It wasn't actually that nice a period for me, really, because I didn't do it for the notoriety. But anyway, it was hard to deal with all that, the level of fame that came with it. But they did make me a gladiator for some live shows, and it was just for live shows, really. They probably publicised it too much because then it was always for live shows, and then it was never for the TV. But then it was always, where's Eunice as the gladiator for the TV? And it was really awkward. And I was like, oh, I wish I'd never done it now. It was one of them.
Yeah. Did you have like the press hounding you at points? Really like photographers and stuff?
All the time, honestly. It was really, it wasn't a great time in our lives. We couldn't go out. We didn't go out for months and months when it was at its peak. And there was no one there to educate me. Nobody educated me. Nobody told me how it would be, what you do, how to deal with it. Nobody told me, and it was it was heavy. I'm not going to lie, it was quite heavy. Yeah.
No, I think it's really like interesting and important for people to hear that, because a lot has changed around the press today with what they're allowed to do. You know, even in terms of like how close they can come to people and stuff like that. But back then there was no rules or regulations. No rules. They were just after the money shot. So you got into, before you got into stunts, you were also like kickboxing champ, European kickboxing champ around that time. So
so that was my sport then. The compromise was I wanted to do fighting from a early age, but my mum wanted me to do ballet. So we had a compromise that I did athletics, which was a great thing, really, because it gave me a great foundation. But as soon as I got to about 16, I was like, all right, I can make my own choices now. And I financed myself. I used to have a paper round. I used to pay all my subs for anything that I did. So then I'd go off doing martial arts, and that's where I was happiest. I just liked fighting. That was it. I really liked it. So then from that, the gym we trained, that was such a it was such a high intense sort of level gym. Everyone was either a British, European or a world champion in there.
Wow.
So I really, the only regret I've got all that is I had a few world title fights and that I never got. I got world bronze and world silver medal once. I never quite got the world title, which I always wanted. But yeah, I think I was European for about 4 or 5 years and British for about, 6 or 7 years, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you said you probably had 100 fights a year as a kid. How many pro fights do you have to have before you become a champ?
Well, no, you have a lot, really, but it's an amateur sport, so you never ever got paid, and you used to have to travel the country to fight every weekend, but I'd fight every weekend.
Wow.
And we'd have, you'd do first round, second round, quarter-final, semi-final, final, all in one day. So you'd have a lot of fights. Yeah.
Holy shit.
And I would do different
That's
weights.
mad.
I would enter different weights as well, so that I would try and get more experience and just fight more, really. So
Yeah.
So it was every weekend we'd be bouncing around everywhere, all over England, trying to get fights anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever have an opponent that scared the hell out of you? That you were like, oh my God.
Couple, definitely a couple. Definitely.
Yeah.
We played the old, because I used to go into different weight categories just to try and have more fights. So, of course, I'd be fighting like people that were way above my weight and all that. So I'd have to be dead light on my feet, bouncing around, avoiding them all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you have like a signature move or anything like that?
Yeah, I
Kickboxing?
was just really good jabber. I had a really good jab as well.
Yeah.
So I would do fakes with my legs and bring the guard down, and then I would just jab them.
Nice.
But I broke in one tournament, I broke my hand and had to carry on fighting.
Wow.
And I think I broke my hand on was it? I can't remember whether it was a cheek or a chin. She was quite solid. And then she actually broke my hand.
Wow.
And she knew it because of the first reaction. So I had to put my hand behind my back because she kept trying to like go where my guard was for my right hand. So then I had to fight this girl who was dead tasty with my right hand behind my back.
Oh my gosh.
I liked it though.
That's
it was great.
badass.
Yeah.
Have you ever been knocked out, and have you ever knocked someone out?
No, and no. No.
Okay.
Only, I don't think I'd like myself if I actually knocked them out, because there's a limit, and when you're striking someone. And our sport wasn't a full contact sport.
Right.
You had to be controlled. So I think I would have disappointed myself if I had to knock someone out.
Right.
And no, I've never been knocked out. I don't even think I've been dazed. I think I've been dazed in our gym, but that's where, in our gym, was only men anyway. There was only me as a woman there. Mm-hmm. So I took a couple of digs there and broke my nose a couple of times and things like that. Mm-hmm. But I think I got spaced out a couple of times. But I don't think I was ever knocked out in the gym neither.
Yeah.
No, I think I was a bit too fast.
Right. Yeah. Swift Eunice. What's the mindset like before you go into a fight? Like, do you have a self-talk, or do you like...
No, I love it. I used to pace up and down and feel like I was a lion in a cage. And then as soon as the ref would blow the whistle, I'd feel like I was coming out the cage as a lion. Yeah, I loved it. I loved that feeling. I missed that feeling.
Yeah.
I miss it a lot.
Do you still do any boxing or anything today?
Not really, no. I'll train a bit. The demands on the job I've got at the moment, finding the time and the energy for all that is quite hard, actually.
Yeah.
It's quite hard. So I've gone into golf a little bit now.
Have you? Oh, nice.
Yeah, just
very leisurely.
It's small gains. I have to feel like I'm gaining. So I still do stuff. I'll probably just do more stuff like a bit of just body. I don't really do weights anymore neither. I'll do body weights, body stuff all the time, chin-ups, dips, press-ups, all different stuff, stretching like that. I quite enjoy it, actually, but and then I'm just playing golf a bit, really.
Nice.
In the spare time. It's a bit sedate. The energy levels is a bit less. And then every now and then I'll do like a couple of mile run just to know that I can still do it type of thing, but that's about it.
I love that. Yeah. It's good. You have to adapt too, I guess,
I know,
as you get older.
I know, it's true, like, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly, unfortunately. So then you got into stunts, and you've doubled Angelina Jolie in countless films: Tomb Raider, Wanted, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, The Tourist, the list goes on and on. How was it? What was it like to meet her?
Well, great. As I say, it was easy for me because I don't really put any actors on a pedestal. It doesn't matter who I meet. I'm not that bothered, really.
Yeah.
If it's football, it's a different ball game. So it's probably a good thing, really, that I'm like that, because if I idolised them, I probably would be a bit goofy in front of them.
Yeah.
So and when I met Angie, she was a kid. I think she was only 24 when I met her. So
Wow.
she was a kid, really.
Yeah.
And she was great. We just had a laugh together. It was like when I first met her, within an hour, it's like as if, you know, when you meet someone and you're like, oh God, I feel like I've known this person my whole life. And it was like that with Angie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was nice. Like, she's cool. She's really cool.
Yeah. So she obviously felt the same, because then she got you back on board for the next and the next and the next.
Well, the good thing about the first Tomb Raider, I think we had a 12-week prep with her, because we wanted to get her really trained up so she physically looked like Lara Croft on our, because we were reinventing that character. There hadn't been a Lara Croft movie yet. And so, you know, we were building her physicality to match what people perceived it to be. And then they pushed the movie about 6 weeks. So we ended up having so much time together, just hanging out and training all the time.
Yeah.
That, it was just like a naturally built relationship.
Yeah,
It was good.
that's awesome. Has there been, what's been your favourite stunt to do in your career?
It's hard, that one, because there's. I always like the ones that when I'm in the cinema, the audience go oof like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I like them, and the weird thing is, they're the dead basic ones where someone might punch you and you go over a table and land through a glass table. Like that's like what I always call bread and butter stunts. When you're doing things like high falls or fire burns and things like that, they're like the ones that are quite intricate. But it's the bread and butter stunts that people always wince at most.
Yeah.
So I like them just because I can hear the reaction in the cinema.
Yeah.
But I do the one stunt. I did the jump off the beach in the film The Beach with Leonardo. I did the jump double, and I can't even remember the actress's name. She's a French girl, Virginia, I think it was. And I doubled there jumping off it. And the way that was filmed was how I felt. And Danny Boyle was the director of it, and the way it got filmed was exactly how I felt when I was jumping it, because we had a height of about, I think it was something like 78.5 feet, and but it was 33 feet out was only 2 feet of water, and then it was solid rock, so
Whoa.
you had to clear 33 feet out.
Whoa.
And
Is this like coming off the cliff, like running off?
yeah, and we only had about, I think we had something like 23 feet run up. So we had to go to a dock and rehearse it all to make sure that we could clear it. And when we were first at the dock, we were only just clearing it, and then we had to practice a little bit. And then we didn't do it for like 6 weeks until we came to do the gag. So, I was standing on that rock ready to jump, going, I've got to clear this or I'm dead. And
Wow.
so the energy and the focus that I had in that, it reads in the way it was filmed. And
Wow.
that's probably one of the few I felt that it shows how I was feeling when I was doing it.
Yeah. Is that the scariest stunt you've done also? Or?
It's probably the one that I knew if I get wrong, I am dead.
Shit.
So, but there's other gags we've done, like when a car's coming at you, it's like, I don't know, between 18 and 20 miles an hour to do a car hit. And if you don't get your timing right, there's your femur broke or something like that. So,
Yeah.
So there's plenty of others, but that's the one where I knew if it's wrong, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Basically.
And what a rush. I mean, did you do it more than once?
Yeah, I did it. I think I did it 3 times. I think the boys did it because in the storyline, the boys did it again in the story.
Right.
So the 2 boys did, I think, 5 times in total. I think I did it 3 times because she only jumped it once in the story. So
Yeah.
we just did it 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah. But still, I mean, what was going through your mind? I mean, you said like, yeah, I'm dead if I don't make it. But after the first one, you must have felt relieved. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
still
it was when you hit the water as well. It was only 15 feet deep, but it was soft sand at the bottom of the sort of plunge pool that we jump in. It was soft sand,
Right.
So I bottomed out every time, hit it.
Wow.
But so you'd have to spread yourself when you was about to land. You had to spread yourself dead wide. So you got a little bit of colonic irrigation in there as well.
Yeah.
When you hit the water, that was probably
Sand
the
up
most
the nose.
unpleasant part of it. That bit.
Oh my God. And so when you're flying through the air, are you doing that like, what do you call it? A dead man falling thing? Like what was your sort of shape?
I just did it to keep myself. I just manoeuvre myself to keep myself upright, really, so that I don't start pitching forward.
Yeah.
So some of the boys just did it dead straight. I think
Wow.
Jamie Jolie did it as well. I think he went in quite straight once, like an arrow. He got a bit confident then and was sort of daring himself to sort of bottom out even more type of thing.
Right.
So, but I just do that manoeuvre when I'm in the air just to keep myself upright, really, rather than because you had to look down to make sure. Because if you didn't clear, we put little life buoys under the surface where the rock surface was.
Right.
So if you knew that you wasn't getting that far out, at least you had the opportunity to try and go flat to minimise the impact. So you had to look down to make sure you was clearing that first. So just looking down would start pitching you forward a little bit. So you have to sort of manoeuvre yourself in the air to stay upright.
Yeah, because you don't want to land on your back. Right?
No,
Like, that's the worst.
or you don't want to land on your chest neither.
Yeah. Fuck. Just like, it's really impressive when you hear about shit like that because it's just like, God, not many people do that as a job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no. It was nice
it's
being
pretty
in
amazing.
Thailand and getting paid as well. That was
Yeah. Oh, beautiful location around
it
there.
was. It was
yeah.
nice.
Amazing. So do you have or did you have, because I know now you're obviously in coordinating, but did you have like a specialism as a stunt woman, or were you as an all-rounder,
Not
like
really.
good at everything?
No, yeah, I was an all-rounder. I think I'm probably weak in vehicles. I think I'm a confident driver, but I'm not like a precision driver like some of the guys are. So I'd say I was an all-rounder, but probably you probably wouldn't put me in a car to do any top gags in a car, really. But that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but fighting was your thing. Like you have to be a good fighter, because
I loved it.
That's the main thing, right? For stunt people.
I'd love it where fighting and so fighting or getting in the middle of a fight. Like you'd want to be the one that lost the fight because you was the one that got thrown through the window. And
you get to be.
So you'd be like, oh no, I'll be the one that gets beat up all the time. That's what it'd be like.
Yeah. Have you been through many windows?
Yeah, loads.
Awesome. Have there? I mean, this probably sounds like a stupid question, but I just don't know. But has there ever been a window that hasn't broken?
No, the SFX, fortunately for me, I've always had a good special effects guy whose fingers on the button's really good, because they have to det it. The second you're about to hit it, they have to det it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd never crash through the window.
Yeah.
Because we have to have toughened glass as well, so that it protects you rather than normal glass, because it could slit your throat as you go through.
Yeah.
So there's it's tempered glass, I think, that we use. So they have to det it first. But I've seen people not go through the window. And when we were doing Mr. and Mrs. Smith, there was a stunt lad when the house was getting attacked by the sort of. I don't know who was in the storyline, the Navy SEALs or whoever was coming in to get them, and one of the guys got knocked out. He bounced in. They didn't det the window. He got knocked out hitting the window,
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it can
that's
happen.
mad.
I've seen it happen, but luckily for me, it never happened.
Yeah. Oh, it's wild. Such a wild world. What's been like the funniest moment on set, or something weird happening?
To think of. There's been loads, to be honest. I mean, there's so much. It's like that's probably one answer I should prepped on and had to think about.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm working with Jim Carrey at the moment, and he's just. I mean, I laugh that much on set. I keep getting told off.
Really?
Yeah.
So is that funny in real life?
Yeah, he's amazing.
That's awesome.
He's like such an amazing physical actor. It's insane. So, but I mean, there's been loads of times, and I'm always messing around. I get a bit bored. Like, I'm better not being there if I'm not busy, because otherwise I start getting bored, and then I start getting in trouble, and then we start messing around. But it's really hard to actually, like, when we did Titanic, there was a loose electrical cable. So we'd all jump in the water. And when we'd be coming back, because you was wet, if you stood over the electrical cable at the right moment, you would get an electrical shock.
Right.
So we used to run up, me and a couple of the Czech stunt lads, because we were the only ones that were aware of it. We used to run up. And then we'd sit there watching everyone come, and we'd be crying, laughing, because we'd see these people all come and get an electric shock as they were walking back. So there's loads of, like I could probably think of loads after this podcast. But it's probably more, it's not necessarily sort of in the action of what we're doing for camera. It's more off camera what the funny thing is.
Yeah. Playing gags on each other and things like that, like trying to make people laugh. Yeah. Has there ever been a stunt that someone has wanted you to do that you thought, no, I'm not fucking doing that?
No. I've done everything.
You've always
always, yeah.
Amazing. I
always.
love that. Have there been, so you got along well with Angie, have there been other actors that you've got along well with?
To be honest, I've doubled so many actors, and I don't think anyone's been an arsehole, if I'm honest. I doubled Catherine Zeta-Jones, she was amazing. Uma Thurman, she was amazing. There's loads that they've all been great. I'll be honest, the industry, people will have their perception on how they feel like the industry should be. It's not glamorous when you're working in it. It's hard, it's tiring. Sometimes, you know, the scene in the story is the middle of summer, and we'll pick a day where it's not raining with blue skies, but it's actually like 6 degrees outside. And you know, the actors are standing there in just a t-shirt and a pair of shorts or whatever, and no one moans, everyone gets on with it. And no, it's great. Like, I've never met anyone who's a knobhead, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
everyone's really
awesome.
great.
Yeah, no big divas that's awesome. So you've obviously had an amazing career. I hear you're a bit of a legend. I believe that you're a legend in the world of stunts and action. So now you've been doing stunt coordinating, obviously, for the last, how many years has it been now?
Since about 2011 now, or 2010.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah.
And so as a woman in stunts, and also as one of very few female stunt coordinators, have you ever felt like you've had to prove yourself more than like your male counterparts?
Yeah, all the time. Unfortunately, in the beginning, I think anyone, if I'm honest, in the beginning of the industry, when I entered it as a HOD, a sort of head of department, you know, you see a different side, you know, you go into meetings, and I realised that's where all the battles are won. So it's 3 months before we perform a stunt that you win the battle around the table with the director or the DOP or the producers. Like I'd had many arguments, like there was in King Arthur, I was stunt coordinator on King Arthur with Guy Ritchie. And Guy Ritchie wasn't present. He probably would never even learn about this, but we'd be at a table. And I was arguing tooth and nail because it would cost, I wanted to do this shot as a stunt coordinator and it would have cost quite a lot of money as opposed to doing it a different way. And I fought them tooth and nail on it, and it was in every single trailer of King Arthur.
Right.
So I think unfortunately, if that was a man, maybe they'd have listened straight away.
Right.
But it's almost like I had to prove myself as a HOD, and maybe in them the eyes of that, maybe it was a woman thing, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know really, but I just know it was very hard in the beginning, and I know I know that men wouldn't have had the arguments that I used to have to deal with.
Yeah.
And then you prove yourself with that producer, and then the next job gets easier, and then it gets easier, and then it gets easier. And then, you know, 10 years have passed, and you're not really arguing like you used to. And it's because, you know, it's took that longer years for you to prove yourself.
Yeah.
And, but the industry is getting better and better. The environment I'm working in now is probably the most healthiest environment. I'm working for Paramount at the moment, and it's the healthiest environment I've ever worked in. It's absolutely fantastic. It's and all round, and it's so lovely, and it's recognised. It's not only me; other people are recognising it. Yeah, so I think times are changing, and maybe it was a long time coming, but at least it's happening, and it's good. It's a really good thing.
Yeah, it feels like film has had a bit of a reckoning, you know, after all the sort of drama and abuse that came out.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to hear from someone who's in the industry that it is diversifying, you know, in terms of more women and all of that.
No, it's good. It's really good.
Do you think that the stunt industry is harder on female stunt performers?
I think it's harder for female stunts to work a lot. It's like, I'll do everything I can. I'll do everything I can to get the girls in. Of course I will, right? But it's like, I've had 3 big scenes on the movie I'm working on now, and, you know, I'll have a call of 20 stunts, and they've all got to be men because of the nature of the storyline. So, unfortunately, it's like there's a thick... The stunt book is really thick, and it's great. It never used to be that thick. It used to be wafer thin, and it's really thick. And if you proportion that down to the women to the men, I'd say it's probably 1/3 to 2/3, 1/3 in the favour of women, 2/3 to the men. And I still think 2/3 of the men will work more than 1/3 of the women.
Yeah.
And it's just because of the nature. It's all right saying, oh yeah, but you got these great movies of women where they're in these lead roles. But if you actually analyse it, you got one woman in a lead role, and then the guy that's chasing her with his henchmen amounts to five stuntmen working.
Yeah.
And then the guys that's protecting the woman in the storyline is another 5 stuntmen. So I've got one lead woman, which is amazing, but I've got 10 men stunt doubles that are all going to work on the film.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunately the nature of it is, proportionately, it's still not great. The film that was absolutely amazing, that was really great for the women as a stunt industry, was Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, yeah.
Because they had, the whole storyline was orientated around women, everything about it.
Yeah.
And so the proportion of stunt women that worked on that film was fantastic, and I long for the film to come out like that again.
Yeah.
Because that was great. And girls got to prove, because I had the opportunity to prove my ability. There's girls out there that just aren't getting the opportunities to prove their ability, and that's the sad part, because there could be great women out there that are going to progress to stunt coordinators and second unit directors, and unfortunately, the window isn't going to arise for it.
Yeah, because there's not enough films that. I mean, I guess like in many ways too, like, because a lot of stunting is fighting, like in a primal sense, men fight more than women.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not surprising, and I'm all for, films that have more women fighting, but I guess there's always going to be more men fighting, just in general.
And the storylines dictate it. Like on Star Wars, I was stunt coordinating on episode 9 with J.J. Abrams, and he was fantastic at it. I was like, JJ, do you mind if some of my stormtroopers are women? He went, please do. So any woman that could fit in them stormtrooper costumes was in on the job.
Yeah.
And they were in and doing it. And we did it with the supporting actors as well, all the SAs. There was a great proportion of women there. But if it's an army fighting, you can't really... It's hard because the armies in the storyline were men.
Yeah.
And it's hard to depict a woman in that environment because historically it was never the case.
Yeah.
You get away with it because in the stormtrooper costumes, you didn't know if it was a man or a woman.
Yeah, yeah. That's exactly right.
I know.
Yeah. Such is life. But it'll be interesting to see if we do see more like female action hero movies.
I know.
Is coordinating as fulfilling as you as performing was?
Yeah.
Yeah, you love
more
it as much? Yeah.
More so. Because creatively... So I would do gags. As a stunt performer, I'd do gags and I'd watch it on the telly and I was like, oh my God, I think I broke my rib on that gag and it looks like I've just stepped off a step. It doesn't look anything. So I wanted to coordinate and second unit direct on some projects now where I had the control of the design of it, how we shot it, so that we're actually feeling. I'm all about feeling what it is. And if I feel like it, if I'm watching it and it feels like a hard hit, I know it's a hard hit because it is a hard hit. So so that's one of the reasons that I really wanted to get into stunt coordinating, was to make sure that the great gags that we actually do are actually filmed as the way it feels.
Yeah.
And so captured. The fulfilling part, and also just going back to when battles are won, I've read a script and then I've had a meeting with the director and I've like, but what about this? And I rewrote that. I hope you don't mind, but I rewrote that. And do you like that? Or ponder on it and let me know what you think. And I'll have rewrote the action because the action won't have read well. I'd have rewrote it. And 9 times out of 10, the director's like, this is amazing, Eunice. This is what we want to do. And I'm like, that's where the best battle has just been won. Yeah. Because now I'm getting to do better action. And in my head, we can design it better and shoot it better and all of that. So it's months before we even shoot it that the battles are won. Yeah,
that's amazing. And do you ever get a say, because the film industry is renowned for cutting out, well, because my husband's in stunts, but like so many stunts he's done or hard hits he's taken have just been cut out. Yeah. Do you ever get to have a say, like, no, we're keeping that bit in because they took really.
What I try and do, if you keep it story related, if the gag is story related, then it'll stay in. But I know what it's like when they cut the movie. I've been on a movie where I'm like, God, this movie's going to be 4.5 hours long. There's no way. So I'll know sequences are going to get cut. I'll know it. Yeah. And sometimes I'll say to the producers, look, do you really want us to spend 3 million doing that sequence when it's not story related whatsoever? Your movie's already running late. And sometimes they'll agree and sometimes they don't, or it just goes on. No, but if it's not story related, the action will be the first to go.
Right.
Because movies they're all too long nowadays. No one wants to sit in the cinema 3.5 hours long.
Yeah. Yeah. Except I want to see those stunts. I'm like, damn it, they need to do the director's cut or like the action cut of each film to see all the cool shit.
Well, we did Wolfman, and there was a big scene that was cut in Wolfman, but it made the trailers. So it was really funny because a lot of it, if it doesn't make the movie, they'll put it in the trailer though. And that happens quite a lot now. Yeah. Where I'll be like, oh, that scene must have made it. It's in the trailer. And then I'll watch the movie. I'll go, oh, yeah, all right. Nice. Yeah. They just had to show it because it was a good gag, but it's not even in the movie.
Oh, that's so irritating. Especially all the work and like the money you just see roll out the door.
But that's the great thing about behind the scenes at the moment, because a lot of that, behind the scenes, which is massive now, what people love the behind the scenes. And sometimes they get shown in there, which is quite good.
That is.
Like the uncut or the unseen scenes type of thing.
Yeah. That's a really good point. All right, so we're going to wrap up soon, but I just wanted to ask you a little bit about family life. You've been married how long?
been married. Actually, it was our anniversary. I'm down with the husband now. And we're gonna go and have a nice Sunday roast, somewhere by the Barbican, I think. And it was our anniversary 2 days ago. 32 years married.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's still my best mate. Like,
I love that. Yeah, because even on the Gladiators episode I watched, it was just so heartwarming how you were like, and hello to my husband and my daughter. Like your daughter was like a toddler.
I know, she was free.
Yeah,
it's really
wild.
funny. It's like the epitome of my daughter is. I'll be doing a show on the Gladiators. I'll be doing a game, and everyone is looking to the right, watching the game I'm on. But if you look, my daughter's looking to the left, and that's where the cheerleaders were.
Yeah.
And that is our life. That's all my daughter was interested in, was the cheerleaders. She loved them.
Yeah.
But yeah, God, they're my life, honest to God. And they've been rocks, and they've let me fulfill a career and supported me and been behind me all the time. They're just great. Like, so yeah, no, my family is everything. It's absolutely everything.
Yeah, there was something amazing on one of the episodes where you said your daughter turned to you and you know, she was like, oh, so if I eat my vegetables, I'll be able to, you know, be really fit. And she's like, Mummy, I want to be like you when I grow up. Yeah. And you were tearing up. And I so relate to that feeling of like wanting your kids to be proud of you, and proud of what you do.
Oh, you will. Trust me, you've got it. Yeah. Your kids will be dead proud of you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, has she ever then, I know you've said she's gone the whole opposite. Has she gotten into any sports or anything like you did?
No, the mad thing is, right, she's a very talented. So the school rang me once. They went, did you know your daughter's like amazing at long jump? And I'm like, yeah, I know. But she doesn't want to do it, I know. And I'm like, I know. And I know what you're going to say now. I go, do you know why she doesn't want to do it? And they're like, no, we don't know why. I said, she doesn't like getting the sand in her hair off the long jump. And they're like, you're joking. And Carly, like, she's dead talented, like swimming. She could swim, right? They'd go, you know when we take Carly swimming with the school? She said she doesn't even use her arms. She'll only use her legs, and she beats everyone in front call even when they're using her arms and legs. I go, I know. I've been in a pool with her, I know. But she hates the chlorine in the water because it messes with her hair and dries her hair out. They're like, I know. So she absolutely wasn't interested. Right. Had the ability, wasn't interested. But she's always been very artistic. And the thing about my daughter is she is definitely a product of her environment. She loves being in Edinburgh. She loves being in Berlin. She loves being in artistic environments that make her think about stuff and reach deep in her and create stuff. And she's always been like that. Mm-hmm. And so the great thing about the industry is I can promote that for her because I can send her. I'm like, she's like, oh, Mum, I'm feeling a bit stale. I go, all right, let's pack you off. Where do you want to go next? Where's the next art world where something's happening and we'll go off there? And so the great gift that the film industry has given me has made me financially secure so I can do that for my daughter. And that's probably great. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And she's a tattoo artist now.
I love that.
I know.
Oh, I'll have to get some work done by her.
Oh, no, she's really good.
Did she do that one?
No. She's got a brain. A brain is like Tim Burton's brain. It's all about, she does anatomical hearts, skulls, all this. But to look at, she looks like she should work in a nail salon.
Right.
You'd never know. You'd never know she's a tattoo artist who goes to pub and drinks pints of Guinness. You'd never know it. It's
I love that. That's awesome. So in those early days, what were some of the challenges you found about balancing like being a mum and then being in entertainment?
It was all, to be honest, if I'm honest, I don't know. Now I'm at a stage in my career where I can choose and I don't have to leave the country. Mm-hmm. But there was a stage in my career where I was away all the time and I wasn't even in England and no, it was horrendous. I used to cry myself to sleep. I'd phone home, I'd say to Mark, I don't know how long I can do this. And I'd be crying. And he'd go, you know what, Eunice, you're a grown up. You're earning a wage that we could never dream of. You're going to financially secure our kid and our kids' futures for the rest of their lives, and you're moaning because you're missing home. And he used to put things in perspective for me all the time. So, what I had to sacrifice, I'd say, we're now enjoying now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? I don't know. If I'm honest, I don't know because I missed out on a lot of my daughter's life and my parents growing old. Like my parents are 80s now, and but look, you know, I can see them all now because I'm always in the country. I won't take a job that's out the country. Well, I did take the Iceland job, but that was
just next door.
I know, it's just next door. It's about 3 hours on a flight. But yeah, no, they've supported me, but it has been hard. I don't know if I had to, if knowing the journey I've done, if someone took me back now and said, right, you're going to do that journey again, I don't think I could do it, if I'm honest.
That's really
I don't
interesting.
think I could leave them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's admirable, and it's heartwarming that you just love them so deeply.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because I think a lot of people, they choose that career, and that, you know, I'm sure everybody has regrets, but it does take you away from your family a lot. It also sounds like your husband, he's just your biggest fan, your biggest supporter.
Yeah,
Like, he hasn't been
great.
threatened by your success.
No, he's
It's
great.
amazing.
He is.
What a man.
Yeah.
What a man.
I know, what a man. It's mad because I love Liverpool that much, and I married a Geordie. It's insane.
Are they like, I don't know the history.
Yeah,
Do
no,
they like battle?
Scousers and Geordies and Jocks,
really?
they all get along
Battle?
great.
Oh, they get along.
Oh, they
that's
get along
awesome.
great, yeah. Yeah, so
Amazing.
yeah, but it's mad because I love Liverpool, I love the city. I put everything down to being a Scouser and having a chip on both shoulders because I'm like, there's not a chip on one, there's a chip on both, so we're dead well balanced. And they say if you're from Liverpool, you're either a footballer, a comedian or a fighter.
Yeah.
And I like to say I'm all three.
Yeah,
so I'm all dead balanced. And but I ended up marrying a Geordie. He was my soulmate. I found him. I knew before he knew. I found him. And I was with me mate when I seen him, and I went, oh, mate, Sam, see that geezer with the big nose? And she's like, yeah. I went, that's the lad I'm going to marry. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with that man. Didn't even know his name.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then our paths crossed months later. Didn't even speak to him. Our paths crossed months later. And but I knew all along. And I always say to him, I always go, I knew. I had to let you know when you knew.
Yeah.
But I knew, yeah. So, yeah, that's how I know he was my soulmate. As soon as I set eyes on him, I knew I was spending the rest of my life with him.
That's amazing. I'm still writing the story of your
Hello.
life here because
And he had a
we're going to
terrible
turn
tash.
it into a
I
movie.
keep looking at him going, I don't know how I fell in love with you with that tash you used to have.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What was he doing when you guys met? Like,
We was in
into fun?
Spain. So I think he was working on a building site, casual
Right.
labour.
Yeah.
And I was in Spain with my mates. He was in Spain with his mates, and that's where I sort of seen him.
Mm-hmm.
But then, then we ended up in Newcastle. From however that happened, we ended up in Newcastle about 5 months later, I think, and then bumped into them, and then, But I always knew we were going to meet. I had this calmness where, oh, it's all right. I'll meet that big nose geezer soon. It was really
Yeah,
weird.
I love it, the big nose geezer.
I know, yeah, it's
yeah, it's
funny, isn't it?
amazing. It's really romantic. I,
know,
love
yeah, it's
that.
mad, isn't it?
It's like I just knew.
I know.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. All right, so to finish up, and I think I know the answer to this, but if you weren't in stunts, what would you be doing?
Oh my God, football.
Football, of course. I knew that was
It's
gonna be
funny,
the
you know.
answer.
I think I didn't give up the dream of playing football for Liverpool till I was about 35.
Really?
I was
Awesome.
convinced I was still going to play football for Liverpool. Convinced, yeah.
That's
I'd
amazing.
love it. If I was born now, there's no way I'd be in the film industry. I'd be playing football.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
You would have just knuckled.
I would have just knuckled down, focused on that. I loved it. Like, I loved the game. I sort of correlate everything in life to football. Like, even in the team, I've got like me centre forward. You know, that's the guy that takes care of stuff. My number one when I'm not there. Harley was my number one for a while.
Yeah.
Your fella, and that's me centre forward.
So your stunt team, your what do
Yeah,
you call it?
it's
Your core team.
orientated.
Yeah.
I've got like me midfielders and they're me riggers.
amazing.
I've got me defence team and they're the doubles and
Awesome.
Like I correlate everything to football all the time.
Yeah. I freaking love that. That's so great. What do you still want to achieve career-wise?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I've achieved so much. So I was second unit. I've done some second unit directing work, which I loved, and I did. The mad thing about our industry is you'll sell your soul on a film and no one will like it. And I think for me, maybe True Detective. So True Detective series 4 with Jodie Foster now, and Issa Lopez, who wrote and directed it, could possibly be the biggest achievement I've done.
Wow.
For the simple reason is people love it. It's an absolute massive success. The accolade it's receiving. There's nothing. I mean, I worked on Titanic, but I worked on Titanic as a stunt performer. So I was like salt and pepper. I wasn't the main ingredient. Mm-hmm. And on in True Detective, I was one of the main ingredients. So I felt like I contributed more to it. Second unit director and stunt coordinator, but Dave Fisher did the bulk of it for me. Mm-hmm. But as it's such a massive success, that sort of it's a hard thing to describe because I do have everything I've done. We do it because we want it to be a success and entertain the millions. We want it to entertain. That's why we do it. I don't do it because I love doing stunts and I love getting smashed through the thing. That complements it. That's the bonus from it. The byproduct is I love what I do, but what I want to do is make something that people love. And over the years, we've done some things that have just missed. And there's things I'm very proud of, but for some reason, Joe Public didn't like it. And True Detective, weirdly, the most recent thing I've done is the one that people have loved most that I've done.
Yeah.
So I finally feel like I've ticked that last box.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I love that you can have that sense of achievement, though, because I do feel like sometimes people just keep, it's always like something next. It's hard to feel like satisfied.
Yeah. I think I finally feel satisfied, yeah.
Yeah.
Finally.
That's amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Woohoo. And what about on a personal level? Is there something, is there any weird like bucket list thing that you're like, oh, I still want to do this or
Not
go here?
really.
Or
I'm not like, no, because I think over the years I've done so much. I'm knackered. I know one thing, I am knackered, like. So I think if or when I finally retire, I think I just want to spend it with my fella. And if I've got grandkids at the time, be around them, be a nice grandmother. I think that's it, really.
Throwing the kids through the windows.
Because I've never done the normal stuff in life. I've never actually done it. I've never been around for my daughter in the years that I wanted to be. I've never picked her up from school. The husband or my mum or dad have always done it. So I kind of feel like I want to do the normal stuff.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. I love that. Nana Eunice coming
Nana
to do
Eunice.
the school run. Yeah,
great. All my scars, I'll tell the grandkids are shark bites and all that, all things like that. I'll tell them that I fell off a wall.
It'd be the coolest granny ever. And last question, what advice would you give to a woman getting into stunts, either with like training regime that you should do and or emotional advice?
I think the advice I'd give, forget you're a woman, consider yourself an individual that you're going to go into the industry, because if you think yourself as a woman in some elements, you're already putting the barrier up because the film industry is a very male-orientated industry. That's without a doubt. It is getting better. Of course it's getting better, but it is without a doubt. So I think if you put a barrier up thinking, oh, I'm a woman going in this very male-orientated industry, you're already putting yourself on the back step. Don't put yourself forward. Don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid. Believe in yourself. And this is in anything that you want to achieve. Believe in yourself. Take the knocks. I've took loads of knocks. You just get back up. You get back up, dust yourself off, and you carry on, and just don't stop until you fulfil your dream. And put there's a great thing. My daughter's a great believer of manifesting. I was a great believer in just believing in what I did. And I guess it's both the same thing, really. My daughter will manifest in what she believes, what she wants to achieve. And really, that is a form of doing what you want to do. And I just kept saying, that's what I want to do, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'll just do that. And I think that's the answer is just don't give up. Just march on, don't give up, and don't create your own barriers. Don't create the barriers in your brain. If people don't, in the beginning, if people didn't listen to me round the table, I would just shout.
Yeah.
I just would shout. I would say something, no one listen. I go, oh, sorry, sorry guys, mustn't have heard that. What I am saying is, and I would be that person. Yeah. And people frowned, but it's got to me to where I am now, because I basically just wouldn't take no for an answer.
Yeah, and you've also paved the way for the next women coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Amazing. I just feel like there should be a round of applause, please, for Eunice Huthart.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I can't believe the time. Time's gone like that.
Yeah, I don't even know what time it is, but thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for bringing me in. It was great.
Yeah, you're awesome. Amazing. Enjoy your day.
Cheers.
The greatest show woman.